Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is that you're listening to this, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Today is the 10th of January, 2025. Welcome to the next episode of Strung Out with your host, Andrew Bowman. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a pretty good show for you. Right off the top, I just have to say thank you so much to everyone who has watched the short film on this channel, Home Alone. It hit 1,000 views today. Holy smokes, that's really cool. Thank you so much for checking that out. It was a very pleasant surprise. I was just looking at it and stuff because I'm working on the next short film that we're going to be doing here. And I was just like feeling kind of bad about myself, right? And I was like, man, I think I have like no talent or whatever. And then just hopped on the YouTube channel just to give myself a little bit of self-validation. And I saw that. And part of me was like, I wonder, it was just the holiday season. Maybe people were just trying to find like the movie Home Alone on YouTube. But then I'm like, there's a timestamp there. So I think you could tell it isn't. So I'm just going to pretend that 1,000 people have watched it. And truly a sincere thanks to everyone who might have. We're going to get right into the show today. I have a little bit of gossip I want to talk about. So I don't know if anyone has seen the movie It Ends With Us. The stars, how am I forgetting her name? I was going to say Brie Larson. It's not Brie Larson. Holy smokes. Hey, if there's a cut here, it's not because I Googled her name. It's Blake Lively. It was Blake Lively. I remember that. There was no cut for me to Google that. She's in the center of a controversy right now. I was talking to my brother on the phone about it, and then I mentioned it. He's just like, yeah, what's the deal with that? So this is for him and for everyone else who probably doesn't follow that news. She has some beef with the director of the film It Ends With Us. His name's Justin Baldoni, I believe. And the main beef centers around the fact that she was like a nuisance on set, or just really hard to work with because she and her husband Ryan Reynolds, which, I mean, you all know Ryan Reynolds, and I have a hot take about him in a second. Yeah, so basically the deal is like, hey, I'm the director, and then she was just like, LOL, like, I'm fucking Blake Lively. And basically ran the set, gave a whole bunch of notes. Apparently, now this is like mythos right now. This is like not confirmed at all. She had a cut of the movie that she liked, and he had a cut of the movie, the director that is, that he liked. And then the studio is like, it's Blake Lively, so we're gonna go with her cut. And so apparently there's a whole other cut of the movie. And I mean, like the movie itself is like fine, you know, like I wouldn't say it's anything super innovative. I mean, like, I didn't know much about the movie going in, and none of this like drama, like the set drama, like leaked until recently. So I'm not at all the authority to consult on like how much that. What I mean to say, let me back up a bit. I didn't watch this movie because of drama. I watched it because, there was a lot of buzz about it and people were crying or whatever. So, I watched it recently and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, okay, yeah, quick It Ends With Us review. We'll get right back into the drama. This is very, you know what? No. Finish the thought. Talk about the drama right now. We'll do the review later. Okay, so not only was there editorial beef between the two parties, but then there was also allegations that were thrown. Kind of allegations I'm talking about when I say like he made her very uncomfortable, walked in on her apparently pumping breast milk for her child because she just had a child at the time. And all kinds of other inappropriate behavior. And then on his side, he's like, yeah, no, she was super cold to me on set. And then there's like footage of the premiere where he's like social distancing post-quarantine from the rest of the cast. Apparently, they took him and his family, stuck their asses in the basement, and were like, okay, you wait here while we do the celebrity stuff. And there's like apparently like a voice message that leaked too. So all right, here we go. Here's why you come to the show. What's my take on this whole thing? I think no, you know what? No. Let's come out here swinging. I automatically am kind of anti Blake Lively. Now hear me out before anyone's, because these allegations are serious. There's also been other receipts, like the fact that he texted her if he can come in, and she's like, yeah, it's cool, I'm just pumping or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and that being said, it's very likely he could have been very lively that he could have been a weirdo when he was doing it or whatever like that. So I don't know. We don't have it could it's like no one knows. But yeah, like my fastball in the whole situation. Um, like yeah, I just I'm not doing it. Yeah, I just ripped the Band-Aid off. Yeah, I mean I'm not totally buying the whole Blake Lively thing. From all accounts, she's pretty unpleasant to work with, and if you look at all the press for the movie, she was like kind of weird. But it was a weird question. Like there was a question where the reporter was just like, "Oh, like, what would you say for abuse victims?" And then she was just like, fucking, I don't know. You can come to my house. Like this is kind of a dumb question. Which I mean, yeah, she's an actress, and like they're abuse victims. They don't really have a whole lot of overlap, so. I can understand why that would be kind of a dumb question, but also it was such a like PR layup, classic Hollywood, like, oh, yeah, like just stay strong or whatever, because that's something that she could have said, but she didn't. She ended up going with this is a dumb question, which in her defense, maybe, but yeah, and I don't know much about this Justin Baldoni guy. What I do know is that Ryan Reynolds wrote that rooftop scene. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, you could just watch the scene because it's one of the most laughably bad, unnatural scenes I've ever seen in anything. It's just like like dude comes out throwing a chair, and we never address why he threw the chair. That's the thing I think about when I think about this scene. I was just like, yeah, because him throwing the chair is supposed to be like telegraphing, like, oh, he might be abusive. But for me, I saw that and I was just like, I don't know, like, well, fuck, why? But I mean, he's also from Boston, and I think really the thesis of the movie is that dudes from Boston are abusive. Everybody is Matt Damon's dad from Good Will Hunting from Boston. Let's talk about the movie itself. I mean, look, I saw it a while ago, and honestly, like, it's not really much worth saying. I think the acting was, like, fair for most of it. I do think the character designs were kind of dumb. Like, they had Blake Lively wearing really fancy clothes, but the whole point is, like, oh, she's from, like, a smaller town in, I think it's Massachusetts, because the movie takes place in Boston, and that's like her childhood love or whatever moved to Boston, and that's why she chose Boston to live in, and she's like opening a flower shop. That's the point, she's opening a flower shop, which I can't imagine is too profitable. I mean, I guess we don't even know how she got the money to open the thing in the first place, but then also it's like, that can't be a profitable sector, but she still dresses, and like my wife knew all like the brands or whatever she was wearing, which was, like, they're fancy brands. They're not everyday things. So that's why I'm like, it didn't really make sense. I think the person who they got to play the young Blake Lively, that was brilliant casting. I was like confused. I'm like, oh, they just de-age her? But no, like, it was a totally different actress. So hats off to you. Baldoni was like fine. He was also directing, which is like, that's cool. Like, it's always neat when that happens, the actor director thing. But I do find that sometimes that takes away from performances. Like if you're directing and acting, it's just hard for you to, commit to the one thing. Okay, look, was it enjoyable in certain senses? And then also like the intimacy scenes, which that's another part of the controversy. They had an intimacy coordinator though. I just thought they were a bit superfluous. But that's kind of like the whole point with these movies. Like it's supposed to be like sexy in a way. Well, not in a way, but it's just supposed to, sex scenes are sex scenes. Like it's supposed to be enticing, I guess. But I don't know. Like it. So if that does something for you, then that's here. It looks good, the movie. Not the sex. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not a judge of those scenes. I've always been the kind of person who has looked away from the screen. So, like, I don't know. And maybe that's another thing that makes my opinion kind of invalid for some people. But the movie was alright. That's the best thing I could say for that. You know what was more than alright though, and here's a nice segue for you. Squid Game season 2. That came out. Season 1 came out a couple years ago. I think 2022. Took the world by storm. We all just really were invested in it, and season 2 seems like it's no different. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a little confused because I remember in season 1, if they stopped the game, they no longer get money, right? Like I think that was like a thing in season 1 where it was like, no, if you stop the game, you lose everything. But in season 2, it was like you stop the game, you split it, and not that it matters per se, if that is how it worked or not. Because both say something. I mean, season 1's like more about the desperateness of the people. Season 2, it was like the greed. And, you know, so it's like, of course you're not gonna, like, even that much money wouldn't have been enough for these people. And I think that was like maybe a point and like something that makes you agree with the main antagonist. So that's what I'm thinking, like maybe that's what it's saying. And it could have been saying that in season 1 too, but I just thought it was weird because I could have swore they go home with no money in that one. So, yeah, that's, but all that aside, season 2, what did I think about it? Loved the new games introduced. I love that relay race. That was really cool. Because you got like, what was it, 3, 4? Yeah, it was like 4 childhood games in one thing, right? Because you had the stone. You had the little thing, you had the top, and then you had the hacky sack. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I felt the dialogue was a bit bad, and then I was like, I don't know, maybe just because Korean doesn't translate too well into English words, kind of like when anime, like when you read anime, like the subtitles, like this is so dramatic. But then I wonder, is like, is it as dramatic in Japanese? Like, do they hear that and they're like, oh my god, that's so anime? Or do they just talk like that? You know what I mean? That's what I've always thought. And that's what I also thought was the thing with Squid Game. But then I remember in season 1, they had that whole deal with the investors. Like they were like white dudes, they were English, and then I remember their dialogue sounded really bad, and I'm like, is that just because bad translation? But then I was like, I felt that a lot of people in the entertainment industry in Korea do speak English. You know, you look at K-pop groups. I mean, that's part of their training. They have to know how to speak English. From what I understand, I had a pretty good source about the training process for K-pop groups, and I believe they did say, yeah, they have to learn how to speak and write in English. And I know like a lot of actors. I know a lot of actors in Squid Game season 2 particularly had backgrounds doing that. So I was like, would it not be the same for writers? Like, would they not like hand it in and be like, hey, this dialogue, like, does it sound good? But I mean, you know, the whole show, like, yeah, like I don't know, the dialogue sounds very anime. You know, but I guess to that point, yeah, like it's very big, dramatic statements. That being said, the dialogue might sound like that, but the show looks great. Performances are really solid, especially by the lead. Takeaway for me was Thanos. That guy, the dude with like the painted fingernails and like the purple hair. I was like, that's sick. He had vibes. You know, like every scene he was in, he was absolutely stealing it. The random English was hilarious. Loved that character. Love the season, honestly. I mean, what is there that's negative to say? You have the intrigue with the employees now. That's a whole aspect of the show you didn't really have all that much outside of the cop's brother that you never see. The plant, you know, like the masked man. I guess spoilers also. It's a bit late for that, maybe, but spoilers for season 2. I'll put it in the... Oh, you know what? I've been meaning to do this with all the episodes. Time codes are going to be down in the descriptions. So like by all means, like, you know, pass around or skip around, do whatever you would like to do, however you engage with the show. Back to the point though, yeah, like, you know, you have the girl from the amusement park, like she's in it, and that's a really fat, like, I don't know, that's cool. It's just world building stuff. The world feels a lot more fleshed out, and when you're able to do that, it's a lot easier to suspend your disbelief or just be invested in the show. That being said, I mean, like, I know there's like a shot with the cameraman in this season. Like, if you're like watching like the big gunfight, the big climax of the whole season, if you're paying attention, there's like a camera dude like down by the bunks, which of course, you know, I mean, like, that's a big scene to shoot. I would imagine they would want to just do it all at once, like for efficiency's sake. So, I'm not knocking points for it, but cliffhanger, and apparently the cliffhanger is coming, the resolution's coming this year, which I'm appreciative. They didn't just do it and was like, all right, let's just wait. We're going to get a season 3 by the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to that. And, speaking of new seasons, the show not you, the viewer, but the show just started watching it. I'm on, like, episode 3 or 4. Damn good. Like, the thing is, like, for me, when I was in high school, I was very against doing what everybody wanted to, like, do. Very hipster of me, I suppose. But everyone was like, oh yeah, the show you. And the only thing I know about it was like a meat grinder, which don't give me, like, I've not gone to whatever part that's alluding to. I know that was like the joke and that's what everyone talked about, but there's like a meat grinder and whatever it is, haven't seen it yet. But like the show itself, it's good. Like I love the fact that you could root for a psychopath and like still want him to get laid. Like, I felt like he should have murdered that guy, like, way earlier, in the show. Like, I would have been, like, very locked in for that. But, yeah, like, it's surprisingly good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm still enjoying it. I haven't finished it yet, but I'll probably give you more thoughts as, like, we go on, because the show's ending soon, so I gotta catch up as much as I can, so I'll probably just be giving you updates about it as we go along. Speaking of updates, I mentioned earlier that we're doing another short film on the channel soon, and I guess I want to talk about the plot of it, but I do think talking about filmmaking is pretty cool. Like at this point I've worked on 3 projects, which isn't that many, and they're all short, and they're all on the channel again. But like the first short film that I ever did, Let's Take a Walk, that was a really fun process, and like every short I've like come away with some lesson. Like Let's Take a Walk, should have shot that in black and white. It would have just looked better, and then also should have invested in a microphone or lav mics. Even you could tell if you like listen to the show, audio is not the strong suit over here. Like I know, like I want to get like an audio interface, and I want to get an actual microphone that can plug into the computer. And once we get to that point, then you're gonna know that this show's still going strong. But it was even, my knowledge was even worse back then. Like I have a microphone for this, and like, well, I don't have like a pop filter or nothing like that. I know what that is now, and at the time, you can watch it. It's on YouTube. It's on the channel. But like the wind was just like ripping up everything. Like the sound was so bad. There's a shot where you can see the other cars of the crew. Like he's like when he's leaning over it, and oh my god, it was so hot that day. It was August. We were out there. We were in like LA shooting, and we had a cooler. I had bought Gatorade and waters for everyone. Which like, and again, like this is not to toot my own horn, but like a lot of like the rookie mistakes that I hear about people making, like not having a shot list or sending the screenplay too late, or whatever it is. Like I didn't make those mistakes. Like I had a shot list and I had created markers to know where I wanted to bring the camera for each thing, because I had scouted the location before, my AD and my director of photography, which I don't know if they listen to the show. Hi guys, good to see you again. So there was a lot of work that was done like before. I did a lot of the pre-work right, but the actual lesson I learned that day was just like, know what you have and make the most of it. So wish shot that in black and white. Wish I had microphones. Also like just like making sure you don't end the scene too early, because that was like a thing I kept cutting. Like there's a couple of shots in there where if I had just left the camera a little bit longer, like it would have paced out well. But I also didn't edit that one. That was edited by Neon Leon. Actually, I don't know if he watches the show, but he has a great like content. He's a content creator as well. He streams on Twitch pretty often, so you go check him out, I suppose. Not I suppose. Go check him out. He's a cool dude. But yeah, it's like I learned a bit about editing, definitely learned about sound and like making it look nice. And then the next thing I did was unofficial fan made music video for one of my favorite songs by Smidley. They're great. I would recommend checking them out. That one, yeah, like so again, I still couldn't edit at the time. I had my brother. He helped me out a lot with that one, but shooting and then looking at that one, shadows. Like, I didn't even pay attention to the shadows because it's, like, a big deal. And, like, you can clearly see my shadow when I'm, like, just, like, taking the camera and panning it. Yeah, like, like, it's just, it was just, like, I didn't think about all the background details. The background details are important. Or, like, and that was obviously also shot, like, at the height of the pandemic. So, that's why he's wearing a mask, but I should just, like, it's literally just us. But I was taking it seriously. I mean, like, so that is what it was for that. But just the little details. Then Home Alone, when we shot that one, I love that one a lot. That's for sure my favorite project, and it's why I feel particularly proud that it has 1,000 views. Like I mentioned the origin before, it was just a random idea that I had when I knew I was gonna have Ashley come over. And, I learned another trick with sound, like with room tone. That's something that I learned about. We shot it in black and white because I realized that trick, you can make it look a lot nicer if you don't have the lighting equipment. If it's in black and white, there's no dialogue in it at all. So, I mean, that's kind of, that in itself felt cool. And I think rewatching it, I really did get that feeling that I was going for. So I'm really excited. All that to say, I'm really excited for the next project. The script is it's adapted from a short story that I loved a lot when I was in college. And I won't tell you what it is now because I'm saying this right now. I'm calling the shot. Like, we are going to make it. And I have, like, a lot of ideas for what I want to do with the camera. I think I'm finally going to have a moving camera for once. I mean, I had one pan in Home Alone, but, like, just stuff like that. I'm excited for that one. So just stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll talk about the process a bit as we do it. I'm going to have rehearsals in hopefully, like, a week or two. That's the goal. And, yeah, so I only have one submitted take for us here today. It's coming in from Adam. Thank you again for being with the show. And it didn't come in a text message. Like, he called me and was like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And I was like, oh, all right. Oh, shit. You know what? Before we get into that, speaking of sports, here's some lore for any of you who don't know. I am a Cleveland Browns fan. And, that already sucks for me. But at the time when I became a fan, let me just tell you guys the story, right? When I was a child, my family was always a football family. I always grew up with Sundays during the football season being like a fun time. And they're all Chargers fans, back when Chargers were in San Diego. And I grew up cheering for them as well. Like, I wouldn't really understand the sport, but I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll watch this. This is cool, whatever. And, like, I always knew Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, the running back. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name right now? Played for the Jets right after the Chargers. Tomlinson. Like, those guys. Like, I grew up knowing those names and, like, having them cheer for them. But I was an indoorsy kid. I didn't really like playing sports. I didn't really like watching sports. I liked cartoons and PlayStation. I played the PS2 a lot. What was my most played game? Kingdom Hearts. Thank you for asking. We can do a whole other thing about that. Love the game. The lore is terrible, but, maybe I could do that as a segment. Like, Andrew explains the Kingdom Hearts lore to the audience. Yeah, we could do that someday, but not today. So yeah, like, I wasn't really into it, and it wasn't until right after high school where I was like, you know what? Football seems cool. I want to get invested into that. And I want my own thing. Because that was the thing. My brother, like Adam, like, shout out to Adam, is an encyclopedia for football, especially regarding the Chargers. He'll tell you stats. He'll tell you entire teams from years ago, like back when he was a child. It's incredible. I love it. But that being said, I was like, I want my own team. I want people that they don't know, or I'm gonna be like, yeah, that guy, that's my guy. That's my cornerback out there. I was learning all the football terms. So coming into 2018 season, it was the 2018 season. I was like, all right, here's what's up. Here's who I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick a team that's the opposite of a bandwagon. I'm gonna pick a team that's so exclusive, only like no one's gonna know about them because they have nothing to talk about. But I'm gonna find what to talk about, and that team was 2018 Cleveland Browns. We had a rookie Baker Mayfield. He was on the bench behind Tyrod Taylor. We had Jarvis Landry out there, wide receiver. We had Myles Garrett on the edge. We had Denzel Ward as cornerback. We had Nick Chubb, number 24, my favorite player, Nick Chubb at the running backs position. It's a bunch of young guys. I didn't know any of this at the time. I was just like, yeah, I'm learning players' names. I learned more later. By the time I really started paying attention to the season, Baker Mayfield was a starter. And, knowing that they had only won. They didn't win a single game the season before. And they only won one game the season before that. Watching this team pick up wins, I remember especially the game against the Raiders where Nick Chubb broke off for like 91 yards. Are you kidding me? Are you shitting me right now? It was amazing. I was screaming. I was up and jumping because I was like, oh my God, this team sucked. And people are talking about them now because they're like, oh, look at the Browns. They're promising. I was like, yeah, they are. Those are my guys. I was here before anyone was talking about it. In fact, I have a hoodie. I'm not going to pull it out right now. That'd be bad podcasting, but I got a hoodie that says I was a Cleveland fan before it was cool. And obviously, like that season they went 9-7. It was like one of the last couple years where it was just a 16-game season. It was 9-7-1 was the record. And man, I was feeling optimistic. I was feeling pretty good. Baker was like doing some pretty crazy things. I think he broke like I might be wrong. It was either Baker Mayfield or Justin Herbert that broke a record for like rookie season touchdown passes. But, man, that team was fun. And, Nick Chubb was a beast. Baker Mayfield was so fun, especially, like, when you do play action. And for those who don't know, play action's like when you fake hand it off and then you run and you actually throw it. They were just fun. Like, it was fast-paced. They were really cool. And then the next year, added Odell Beckham Jr., This is all coming to a point, by the way. I know I kind of was like, ooh, let me just talk about, I'm talking about my relationship, right? Because this is important. This is important because there's some news out of Cleveland that you don't know about that I'm about to tell you. So, I'm going to tell you this story. It's a love story right now, right? It's actually a tragedy, spoiler alert, but we'll get to why it's a tragedy in a second. Next year, we added Odell Beckham Jr. to the roster, and it did not work out well at all. I think we ended up missing the playoffs. Did we? No. Because here's the thing. It was 2018 to 2019. I think we just were bad that year. I can't remember how many years we had Odell. I just know it wasn't pretty. And then I believe it was like the next year when we actually made it to the playoffs. Yeah, because I was working... You know what? Yes. It was the next year because I was working at Vallarta at the time. I worked there 2020 to 2022. So, yeah. It was... No. Right? Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. The point is, I was there when the Browns made it to the playoffs, and it was such an exciting time. I remember we got there, we beat the Steelers. They weren't trying. They were like, okay, yeah, whatever, we'll play you guys. You're just the Browns. In fact, that was a thing that somebody said, the Browns are just the Browns, a bunch of nameless faces, and that's what they're saying about us. And I was like, ooh, it was the Steelers who said that. I believe it was Juju Smith-Schuster who said that. So when we got to face him around in the playoffs, I was working at Vallarta at the time, right? So I'm stocking shelves, whatever, it's closing. I was supposed to get off at 10 that night. I look at my boss at the time, and I tell him, look, dude, I need to be home to see this. This is about to be history. It would have been the Browns' first playoff win, I believe, since 1991 at the time. Their first playoff win. Like, one thing making it to the playoffs, but then winning a game in the playoffs, I wasn't going to miss that. So, I took off early. I got home. I saw us win it. The pride I feel. And again, the only reason I'm telling you all of this is because of the pride that I felt being a part of there from the very beginning. Like when Baker got there, when Nick Chubb got there, Denzel Ward, when all these guys got there. And seeing it flourish into something. And I just, I felt fantastic about it. I was flying on cloud nine, and then, we went on to play the Chiefs in the divisional round. Some bullshit happened. We actually had a very good chance of winning that game. And I'm losing to the Chiefs, but whatever, run it back. And then we had drama with Odell. Like his dad fucking was like, hey, you want to see how many times Baker didn't throw it? Here it is. It was like this giant ass compilation with some sad ass music over it. And then I was like, whatever. So we ended up giving him up to the Rams for other things. I don't know what we got, but I just know Donald Peoples-Jones like slid into that, and like, we were doing all right. Wasn't doing too bad. And then yeah, Baker tore his fucking shoulder. And it was like a contract year for him. Like, it was like the last year on his contract, I believe. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But I still believed in him. Like, he tore his shoulder and he tried to play through it, which I didn't want him to do. But also, he was a rookie quarterback. And he was like, I gotta keep my spot. I gotta show him that I'm willing to do all this for you guys. I believe we missed the playoffs that year. It was a disappointing year. But what ended up happening was the worst signing in the history of the NFL, because the Browns was like, oh, Deshaun Watson hasn't played in a year, has a bunch of sex allegations thrown on him, like some sexual assault allegations. Yes, please. And they give him the most guaranteed money in the history of the sport. And that's when I kind of just was deflated. I hated that. I loved Baker Mayfield. He had such a fun attitude. His post-game conferences were amazing. He had such energy. He had such like life to him and such personality. And I just really felt like that's our guy. The Browns have had the most starting quarterbacks in the last 40 years, like more than any other team. I think maybe it's not combined, but like it's like 40 people, like 40 dudes have started at quarterback. And then the year after that was just kind of weird. I know Flacco had his moment, which was awesome too, but I haven't been excited about this team since Baker was here. And I'm very happy seeing him on the Bucs. It's great, but I really, I'm like, man, that dude should be in a Browns uniform. You know who isn't in a Browns uniform right now is Deshaun Watson. And here's the news. Took a long time to get to it, but here we are. Tore his Achilles again. He just had a surgery not that long ago. And the first thing he does, I guess, after getting out of it, is like, well, what would condition this a lot more was if I just tore it again on purpose. So that's kind of like what he did. He didn't tear it on purpose, I assume. I hope not. I mean, why not? He has the most guaranteed money. And he clearly doesn't really want to play football, because when he does play football, kind of stinks. And people are like, oh, he's rusty. And, maybe, but you don't pay $230 million for rust. He had like one cool touchdown pass like this last season, like credit where credit's due. I was like, all right, I'm about to hop on again. I want to pay attention to the NFL, because the NBA has been my jam. But I was like, I want to be on the NFL season this year. And I remember it was this crazy moment. They were playing the Giants, the New York Giants. I believe it was week 3, and it was this crazy thing that happened, because the Giants, I think, fumbled the kickoff. And then we had it, and then Deshaun threw this perfect dime right in the breadbasket. Like the dude was covered up. I think it was Jerry Jeudy, totally covered up. He caught it. I turned to my wife, my fiance at the time, and I was like, "We're gonna win this game." He doesn't make throws like that, so if he's making throws like that right now, it's on, and it wasn't on, and we ended up losing solidly in that game to a Daniel Jones at quarterback. And he doesn't even play quarterback for the Giants anymore. So, Yeah. That's our guy. Tore his Achilles. People were cheering, which, you know, like, you could say, like, oh, that's bad etiquette, but at the same time, like, so is molesting a massage therapist. So, whatever about bad etiquette. So he tore his Achilles again. He's probably going to miss a bunch of time next year, and we're going to still be on this QB carousel. And, you know, the terrible thing, when I started watching football, I was like, yeah, I'm picking a bad team, so I can never be disappointed. But then they showed me how good they could be, and then they squandered it all away. So now it's like, now I really am a Browns fan. I feel disappointment. So, I guess you get what you paid for. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. I know this episode's going up a bit late. Didn't get a chance to shoot it yesterday. But thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Check out Home Alone if you haven't yet. Really proud of that. And I will catch you guys on the next one.